Alrighty YouTube, welcome back to a front end completed and rather shiny looking RAT10. First of all, I'm going to give you a close up just to point out the obvious. I did a test polish of the paint and my god, this turned out really good. You can see the direct comparison to the driver's side of the truck, which is still completely hazy and has almost no shine. Last time you saw me, we tried to do some more tuning that didn't really go anywhere, so I just said screw it and I reassembled the entire front end of the truck, which is good because now that the front end is assembled and the truck is clean, it's giving me even more motivation to get the damn thing finished. Which leads me into the news that I have for today's video. If you can't see it, there is something hanging out on the windshield. That would be a completely different computer to the one we were using before. This computer is a 7730 computer. If you're unfamiliar with GM computers, that's just the part number on the sticker, 01227730. This is a bit more of a modern computer that GM used with a lot of their V8 cars. The chips have built-in knock sensor controls, so you don't have to run a thing like this hanging out on your firewall. It has a few different inputs and outputs that the other computer doesn't have, which is in here. These are what's known as GM, we'll call them 165 computers. That's the end of the part number. 01227-165. And upgrading from that computer to this one, upgrading from the 165 to the 7730, first of all, it obviously gives us provisions for a knock sensor. It also lets us run a different PROM. So in the 165, I was running a code known as 12P, which I believe was coded somewhere in Australia. Don't quote me on it, I don't know a whole bunch about it. And in this computer, we're running a more modified version of GM code. My dad worked with one of his friends in the States who wrote the code himself, and then my dad was doing some testing and tuning on one of his cars. He had a 3rd gen Camaro with a turbo on a small block 305. Future Alex here, because I forgot to record the part after I said I was going to tell you who made that code. The special program for the 7730 computer was done by a gentleman by the name of 84 Elke on 3rdgen.org. It was basically wrote as a program for TunePort V8 guys to be able to tune their computers and allow for boost. And the name of that code is called SAUJP. I will put that up on screen, and the link to 3rdgen.org will also be in the description. It is free to download. All you need is a program called Tuner Pro to be able to read it, and then a couple of other attachments and whatnot. If you'd like to check out what went into that, I will put 3rdgen.org and the name of the code in the description for you to check out. And we just kind of laid this here. We took the computer and the harness, just kind of chucked mine to the side, plugged everything in, and we had to hardwire a couple things. It's a little funky. The O2 sensor running across, that's a weird one. Idle air plugs right in, throttle position plugs right in, the plug going down to the distributor, coil is still powered from my harness, a coolant temp sensor, and the injectors. This is super ghetto. Since this is a V8 harness, you can see here's the injector plugs for like a two-port injection V8, and I obviously have 2 TBI injectors. What we're doing here is, with my key on, the injectors are getting power, and stuck into my injector ground wires, I have these little pieces of metal, which can then go into the ground wire of this harness, basically back probing my injector to control it with the other harness. One green one and one blue one. That lets the new computer control the injectors, read all the sensors it needs to, and then I have to, down here is another metal blade stuck into this wire, which I believe is your oil pressure safety switch. It'll trigger your fuel pump if your fuel pump relay decides to blow out, which I don't have. We're powering the fuel pump on full, and this wire here, which is powered to the computer off of this guy here. It's set up kind of ghetto, but we've actually got somewhere. What we did off camera is we tested this because my dumbass just kind of forgot to record it all, and we managed to get it to idle with a couple of tuning blips, and we had none, absolutely none of the previous issues we had with the other computer. We even got this thing to idle cold at 800 RPM. You ever hear a cammed 4-cylinder idle at 800 RPM? Normal desired idle for these 4-cylinders is like 1100. That's ridiculous. It sounds hilarious. So if we can get it to do that all the time, that'd be awesome. Okay, so this alligator clip here, when I plug it into here, which is battery power, you should see the orange light come on, which is the check engine light confirming the computer has power, and you'll hear the fuel pump as well. Okay, we have light and we have fuel pump. There you go. Startup parameters are still a little finicky, but good again. Yeah. was tuned enough to idle when it was warm. It's now dead cold. Either way, you get the point. It runs on a computer that's just ghetto wired. It's not like a TV show. Tunes don't just happen, they take time. Believe me, once the truck is warm, it runs. We had just a mild tune to prove the theory that this computer would run this engine, and it does. As you just saw, it fired up and it ran. What we're gonna do now is take this computer and its plugs, take my plugs, completely de-pin them, and then re-pin them to fit the 7730 computer. Hopefully, if we don't have a wiring harness issue, then hopefully this computer will run on my factory harness. Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys there while I start tearing into these plugs, because it's gonna take a while. Oh, and also to address the comments to all the people who are saying, well, just why don't you upgrade to a Holly or a Fast or a MS2 or something. Unless someone wants to spot me the $2,000 it costs for a standalone system, this is the way we're gonna go. Well, these little retainers gotta come out first. The book. This is a wiring map for the 165 and the 7730. Just gonna work through pin at a time from this connector into the respective connectors on the other one, and we can eliminate some stuff at the time like EGR, vehicle anti-theft, just junk. So not only is this simplifying the harness, it'll let us use a different computer. Okay, there is hopefully everything we need, and 2 missing grounds that my harness didn't have. That should hopefully connect to that computer and work. That only took me, wow, the camera was rolling for 50 minutes. Okay, now that my harness is de-pinned and switched over to the other connectors, we can come back to the engine bay and disconnect the harness that my dad brought for the other computer, connect my harness back up. Okay, everything is reconnected the way it was. We should hopefully be ready to connect a computer to said harness. Hopefully with the turn of the key, we will have success and not fire. Okay, everything's connected. It should just work. Pump on. The pump primed. We have check engine light. That's a good sign. I'm gonna crank it and see if it actually fires. Ready? Yeah! There you go. Just upgraded a few years of technology. Okay, you can't see the laptop screen, but we're gonna key on and make sure that the computer is outputting the appropriate data to the laptop, and then we will go from there.
Okay, I've got data. Got no map signal.
We weren't getting a map sensor signal on the laptop. It turns out that between our pages of wiring, we didn't have one for the 2.5, and we left the map sensor pin in the old plug because we didn't have anything telling us to move it. So we now have it in the computer, and we're getting our map sensor signal, so it should fire up and idle now, hopefully. Let's see what it does. Yep. Not touching the pedal, here we go. So yeah, day 2 of tuning. Ooh, my dad's hopefully tuned out some. We've added fuel on startup because it was firing but not staying at idle, and it was kind of doing a bunch of funky stuff and then going lean. So we're gonna see if it's kind of sorted out, and we'll just tune from there. Okay, while I was in the truck there, GoPro died. Obviously, I couldn't hear it because RAT10 is louder than hell. In the time the camera was off, we were playing around with the fuel injector constant, which just kind of richens and leans out the table as you change it. And we smoothed out some numbers, cranked the idle a little bit with the throttle stop screw, and tried to smooth out some more numbers. So we're gonna just work from there and see where it goes. It's now been a couple days. We were both busy. The tune is where it was. We're gonna try to cold start it and see what it does. It's probably gonna be junk. And then we're gonna see if we can tune it from there before it gets too warm.
Start enrichment, and I'll do a little bit more on the crank at this temperature. I don't get why it stumbles like that though. Too much fuel to fire the cylinder maybe.
I'll give you some in-car shots here. The wideband does go a little bit rich on startup, but then it kind of stabilizes out in the 12-13 range, which is a little rich, but it's how you gotta tune it, so. As our startup fuel's gotta burn off, and then it'll kind of equalize, leans out a little bit. It's coming 13 to 14 pretty quick.
I know a lot of that enrichment, right? Almost a little bit lean here, but
A little bit, yeah. You want another slow rev?
yeah, might as well see what we get.
All right, giving a slow rev.
Let me just try something else here.
Oh, it went dead lean. I don't know what happened there, but dead lean. This is the real world tuning here that you don't often get to see with a lot of stuff. It takes time and it doesn't just work. See, it leans out. We're still running an open loop.
Yeah.
If anyone's concerned about how lean it is at idle, it's only dangerous if you're lean under boost. At idle, it's fine.
I don't know why it's going lean on. Here's a change here. This is an open loop parameter here. This is open loop rich, and then it drops down to 5% here.
Oh, weird.
That's the only change that would have happened. We would have lost open loop fuel here down to there. So
Yeah, we did cross that temperature threshold, didn't we?
yeah, it's a big change though, right? So maybe 13 is too much. We can put that up to 10.
It's kind of rich. And I don't see it's stuck right around 11, so whatever you changed sure made a big difference.
Bumped it a little bit there. Seeing a bit of 12 showing up.
Yeah, I think that's the right table.
I'm gonna take a lot out of there just to see what happens.
Okay. Got no fan yet. Oh. Literally as I walked away, it went on.
All these tables need to scale down, right? The jumps are too big.
Yeah.
We're fixing in here, now we're down to this, because we're 194, so we're right about here now. Yeah, you can see how...
Oh, it's a line graph.
That's the factory one there, and this is how we did it. So
Ace.
we need to fix that.
It's pretty good.
3D graph.
It's nice and smooth. You want to try?
You can back it up under its own power and see if you can go up or down. You can just idle it up and idle it down and see.
I guess a little bit of load gives us some more data too.
Come on, try it. RAT10 sees the sunshine.
That's the hope. good?
Fucking it finally moved under its own power.
Could try and just drive it around the cul-de-sac. I don't know if he'll be happy with me, but...
Well, if you wanted to prove your point.
Alright. What the hell? It's gonna run like absolute shit, but we're gonna try. Y'all want action. You're getting action. If I can put it in first gear and drive it, I'll call it a win. Put my seatbelt on.
Your tires are a little big for your fenders.
Is that what's making the noise, or is that the clutch?
Clutch and tires. Okay.
It's not happy under load.
Whatever, it ran. That might have been a little rich.
Well. I did 2 laps. That was one hell of a backfire. Oh, I know. Well, it's out of the garage. That for me is a huge win. I wouldn't call it very successful. I mean, it is successful. I did do 2 laps, but the tune is absolutely atrocious. But it's out of the garage, and that's all I care about. Sweet. Well, that was a huge victory. RAT10 is now back in the garage, and that's where I'm going to end today's video. It did make it out under its own power, and it did, in fact, do 2 laps around the cul-de-sac. It wasn't great. I mean, compared to what we've been dealing with, it was incredible, but the tune was just all over the place. So it's gonna need some smoothing out and whatnot before it actually goes for any longer of a drive. I realize I don't have the other pipe hooked up to the throttle body for the turbo and whatnot, but it's easier to tune the engine for NA before you have anything boost hooked up. And we're still tuning an open loop. We haven't even got the closed loop yet to let the computer actually do its thing. It's coming, don't worry. This was huge just to get it to move out of the garage. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're excited, and I hope you come back for more. Thanks for watching.